PHASES 1. The Surprising Power of Tiny Changes Context. James Clear opens with the story that gave him the authority to write this book. On the final day of his sophomore year of high school, a classmate's baseball bat slipped mid-swing and hit Clear in the face, breaking his nose, fracturing his skull in multiple places, and shattering both eye sockets. He was airlifted to the hospital and placed into a medically induced coma. The long, painful recovery stripped him of his identity as an athlete. But 6 years later, through the relentless application of tiny habits, Clear was named the top male athlete at Denison University and selected to the ESPN Academic All-America team. His personal transformation became the foundation of everything in this book. Insight 1.1, the 1% Rule, Compound Interest of Self-Improvement Trigger, Clear. Clear presents a deceptively simple math problem. If you get 1% better each day for 1 year, you don't end up 365% better. Because of compounding, you end up 3778 times better, 1.01 3778 per 4778. Conversely, if you get 1% worse each day, you decline to nearly 0.99 365.326. 3.03's is not willpower or talent, it is the direction of your daily habits. Realization: habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. The same way money multiplies through compound interest, the effects of your habits multiply as you repeat them. A single choice is relatively insignificant in the moment, but when the same choice is repeated thousands of times, it becomes the difference between who you are and who you could be. Time magnifies the margin between success and failure. It will multiply whatever you feed it. Good habits make time your ally, bad habits make time your enemy. Intermediate conclusion: you don't need to be twice as good to get twice the results. You just need to be slightly better, consistently, for long enough. Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Insight 1.2, the British Cycling Revolution, Aggregation of Marginal Gains, Trigger. In 2003, Dave Brailsford became performance director of British Cycling, a team that had endured nearly 100 years of mediocrity. Since 1908, British riders had won just a single Olympic gold medal. No British cyclist had ever won the Tour de France. Brailsford's strategy was not to find one revolutionary technique, it was to find a 1% improvement in everything. Realization: Brailsford's team redesigned bike seats for comfort, rubbed alcohol on tires for better grip, tested massage gels for fastest muscle recovery, hired a surgeon to teach proper hand washing to prevent colds, determined the ideal pillow and mattress for each rider, and even painted the inside of the team truck white to spot dust that could degrade bike performance. No single change was significant. Together, they were devastating. Within 5 years, British cycling dominated the 2008 Olympics, winning 60% of available gold medals. Within 3 years of that, they won the Tour de France. Intermediate conclusion: you do not need a revolutionary breakthrough, you need a relentless accumulation of marginal improvements. The aggregation of marginal gains, searching for a tiny improvement in everything you do, produces results that seem impossible from any single change. Page Ace 2. Why Goals, FAAC, and Systems When Context. Clear challenges the universal self-help advice to set goals and reveals why goal setting is fundamentally flawed as a strategy for lasting change. He introduces a radically different framework: forget about goals entirely and focus on systems. Insight 2.1. You fall to the level of your systems. Trigger: winners and losers often have the same goals. Every Olympic athlete wants the gold medal. Every startup founder wants $1 billion company. The goal does not differentiate the winner from the loser. The system does. Goals are about the results you want to achieve. Systems are about the processes that lead to those results. Realization: goals suffer from 4 fatal problems. 1. Winners and losers share the same goals, so goals can't be the differentiator. 2. Achieving a goal is a momentary change. You clean your room, but without a system, it gets messy again. 3. Goals restrict happiness by making it conditional on achievement. I'll be happy when 4 goals create a yo-yo effect. People work hard to reach a goal, then stop because the motivating force is gone. Systems solve all 4 problems because the motivating force is gone. Systems solve all 4 problems because they focus on the process. Intermediate conclusion: you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. If you want better results, forget about setting goals entirely. Focus on your system instead. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Insight 2.2. The Plateau of Latent Potential. Why people quit too early. Trigger: you start a new habit, exercising, writing, learning a language, and expect linear progress. After weeks of effort with no visible results, you conclude it isn't working and quit. Clear explains this frustration with the ice cube analogy. Imagine a room at 25 degrees. You slowly heat it. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, and nothing visible happens. Then at 32 degrees, the ice begins to melt. The work wasn't wasted from 25 to 31. It was being stored. Realization. Clear calls this the plateau of latent potential. Your habits need to persist long enough to cross a critical threshold before results become visible. The initial period where effort produces no apparent results is the valley of disappointment, the gap between your expectations of linear progress and the actual trajectory of compounding growth. Most people quit in this valley just before the curve begins to accelerate. The work is never wasted. It is simply stored. Intermediate conclusion. Breakthrough moments are often the result of many previous actions that build up the potential required to unleash a major change. Mastering patience during the valley of disappointment is what separates those who succeed from those who quit. The work is never wasted. It is simply stored. PHAs 3. The identity shift context. Clear introduces the deepest and most counterintuitive insight in the book, that lasting behavior change is not about what you want to achieve, outcomes or how you plan to achieve it, processes, but about who you believe you are, identity. He inverts the conventional approach entirely. Insight 3.140, 3 layers of behavior. Change, trigger. Most people begin the change process by focusing on outcomes. I want to lose weight, I want to publish a book, I want to earn more money. Some go deeper and focus on processes, specific habits and systems. But the deepest layer, and the one most people ignore, is identity. What you believe about yourself. Realization, behavior change operates on 3 concentric layers. Outcomes, what you get. Processes, what you do. And identity, what you believe. Outcome-based habits start with the goal and work inward. Identity-based habits start with the core belief and work outward. The conventional approach says, I want to lose weight, so I'll diet. Outcome, process, identity. The correct approach says, I am a healthy person, so I eat well and exercise. Identity, process, identity, process. Free asses. When your behavior and your identity are fully aligned, you are no longer pursuing change. You are simply acting like yourself. Intermediate conclusion. The ultimate form of intrinsic motivation is when a habit becomes part of your identity. True behavior change is identity change. Insight 3.2. Every action is a vote. Trigger. Clear explains that identity is not fixed. It emerges from your habits. You are not born with a permanent set of beliefs about yourself. Your identity is literally built, brick by the evidence of your daily actions. Each habit is a vote for the type of person you are becoming. Realization. Every time you write a page, you are casting a vote for being a writer. Every time you practice guitar, you are casting a vote for being a musician. Every time you go to the gym, you are casting a vote for being a healthy person. No single vote determines the election, but over time, the votes accumulate and the evidence builds. You don't need a unanimous verdict. You just need a majority. The process is simple. 1. Decide who you want to be. 2. Prove it to yourself with small wins. Intermediate conclusion. You don't have to be perfect. You just need enough evidence. Every action is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. PHACs 4. The habit loop context. Clear breaks down the neurological architecture of every habit into 4 stages, a framework that becomes the operating system for the rest of the book. Insight 4.2.1. QA craving. Craving. Response A probably reward. Trigger. Clear builds on Charles Duhigg's habit loop but adds a crucial missing element, craving. The original loop, cue, routine, reward, missed the motivational force that drives behavior. Without craving, there is no reason to act. Realization, every habit follows 4 steps. Cue, a bit of information that predicts a reward, your phone buzzes. Craving, the motivational force, not for the habit itself, but for the change in state it delivers. You want to know who messaged. Response, the actual behavior, thought, or action, you pick up the phone. Reward, the end goal that satisfies the craving and teaches the brain which actions are worth repeating. You read the message. Together, these 4 steps form a neurological feedback loop that runs automatically. The cue triggers a craving, which motivates a response, which delivers a reward, which becomes associated with the cue. Intermediate conclusion, if any of the 4 stages is insufficient, the habit will not form. Eliminate the cue and the habit never starts. Reduce the craving and you lack motivation. Make the response too difficult and you can't do it. If the reward fails to satisfy, you have no reason to repeat it. Insight 4.2, the 4 laws of behavior. Change trigger. Clear maps each stage of the habit loop to a practical law, creating an actionable framework for engineering any habit. This is the book's central contribution, a systematic method for building good habits and dismantling bad ones. Realization: to build good habits, Law 1, Q squy, make it obvious. Law 2, craving, make it attractive. Law 3, response, make it easy. Law 4, reward, make it satisfying. These 4 laws apply to every behavior, from exercise and diet to reading and productivity. They work because they align with the brain's natural learning architecture rather than fighting it, and each law can be inverted to break bad habits. A framework Clear develops in detail later. Intermediate conclusion: the 4 laws are not just a framework for understanding habits. They are a practical toolkit for designing your behavior from the ground up. FARD, 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 SARD, SARD, FARD, VARD, ZARD, ZARD, SARD. The FAR law addresses the Q. The FAR's law addresses the Q, the trigger that initiates a habit. Most people fail not because they lack motivation, but because they lack clarity. They never explicitly decide when, where, and how they will act. Insight 511. Implementation, intentions, and habit stacking. Trigger. Studies show that people who make a specific plan for when and where they will perform a new habit are significantly more likely to follow through. Vague intentions: I'll exercise more, almost always fail. Specific ones: I will exercise at 6 a.m. in my garage, succeed. Realization, implementation, intentions use the formula: I will behavior at time in location. This removes ambiguity entirely. Habit stacking goes further by linking new habits to existing ones. After current habit, I will new habit. After I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. After I sit down for dinner, I will say one thing I'm grateful for. Each existing habit becomes a trigger for the next, creating chains of behavior that run automatically. Intermediate conclusion: many people think they lack motivation when what they really lack is clarity. Decide exactly when and where, and the habit becomes almost inevitable. Insight 5.2. Environment design. Be the architect, not the consumer. Trigger. In the 1970s, researcher Anne Thorndike redesigned a hospital cafeteria to make water more visible and soda less visible without changing the menu, prices, or signage. Water consumption increased by 25.8% and soda dropped by 11.4%. Nobody made a conscious decision to drink more water. The environment made the decision for them. Realization: environmental cues drive behavior far more powerfully than motivation or willpower. If you want to practice guitar, place it in the center of the living room. If you want to eat healthier, put fruit on the counter and hide the snacks. If you want to read more, put a book on your pillow. Every habit is initiated by a cue, and you are more likely to notice cues that stand out. The most powerful way to change behavior is not to change people. It is to change their environment. Be the designer of your world, not merely the consumer of it. Intermediate conclusion: motivation is overrated. Environment often matters more. People who appear to have remarkable self-discipline are often just better at structuring their lives, so they don't need heroic willpower. Be the designer of your world and not merely the consumer of it. PHA 6, Law 2, make it attractive context. The second law addresses craving, the motivational force behind every habit. Clear reveals that it is not the reward itself that drives behavior, but the anticipation of the reward. Dopamine is released when you predict pleasure, not when you experience it. Insight 611. Temptation bundling and the dopamine prediction. Trigger. Neuroscience research reveals that dopamine, the brain's motivation chemical, spikes not when you receive a reward, but when you anticipate one. The brain assigns more motivational value to predicting pleasure than to experiencing it. This is why wanting something often feels better than having it. Realization, temptation bundling pairs an action you need to do with an action you want to do. The formula combines habit stacking with temptation. After current habit, I will habit I need. After habit I need, I will habit I want. Example: after I pull out my phone, I will do 10 burpees. Need. After 10 burpees, I will check social media. Want. The anticipated reward of the desired activity creates dopamine that motivates the needed activity. Intermediate conclusion: you don't have to fight your desires, you can engineer them. Pair obligations with pleasures, and the brain treats the obligation as a path to reward rather than an obstacle. Insight 6.2. The social magnetism of habits. Trigger. Clear identifies 3 groups whose behavior humans instinctively imitate: the close family and friends, the many, the tribe or social group, and the powerful, those with status and prestige. These forces are so strong that they override individual preference. Realization: if you are surrounded by fit people, you exercise more, not through conscious imitation, but through environmental absorption. If everyone in your social circle reads, reading becomes normal rather than aspirational. The most effective way to make a habit attractive is to join a culture where your desired behavior is the default. When belonging to the group requires your desired behavior, the craving to fit in does the motivational work for you. Intermediate conclusion: join a culture where your desired behavior is normal. You don't need more willpower. You need better surroundings. The tribe will do the work your discipline cannot. PHAs 7, LACC 7, Law 3, make it EAZ context. The third law addresses the response, the actual behavior. Clear overturns the common assumption that forming habits is about time, it takes 21 days, and reveals that it is about repetition frequency. You don't need more time, you need more reps. Insight 721, the 2-minute rule, trigger. A reader who wants to read more books sets a goal to read 30 books this year. The ambition creates pressure, which creates avoidance, which creates guilt, which creates more avoidance. Meanwhile, someone who commits to reading 1 page before bed succeeds effortlessly and usually reads far more than 1 page. Realization, the 2-minute rule states, when you start a new habit, it should take less than 2 minutes to do. Read before bed each night becomes read 1 page. Run 3 miles becomes put on my running shoes. Study for class becomes open my notes. The point is not to do the minimum forever. It is to master the art of showing up. A habit must be established before it can be improved. You cannot optimize something that doesn't exist. Intermediate conclusion. The gateway habit is the first 2 minutes. Master showing up, and the rest follows. You can't improve a habit that doesn't exist. All big things come from small beginnings. The seed of every habit is a single tiny decision. Insight 7.2, friction, the hidden force that controls behavior. Trigger, clear, examines why people watch TV instead of exercising even though they claim to value fitness. The answer is not lack of motivation, it is friction. The TV remote is 1 step away. The gym is 20 minutes of driving. Every additional step between you and a behavior reduces the probability of doing it. Realization. Reduce friction for good habits. Lay out workout clothes the night before. Prep healthy meals on Sunday. Put your book on your pillow. Increase friction for bad habits. Unplug the TV after each use. Delete social media apps from your phone. Leave your wallet in the car when passing fast food. Commitment devices lock in future behavior. Schedule gym sessions in advance. Set up automatic savings transfers. Ask someone to change your social media passwords. The most effective way to change behavior is often the laziest. Simply make it easier. Intermediate conclusion. The central idea is to create an environment where doing the right thing requires the least effort. Human behavior follows the law of least effort. PHAs 8, Law 4. Make it satisfying context. The 4th law addresses the reward, the signal that tells the brain this is worth repeating. Clear reveals a fundamental conflict. The behaviors that are most rewarding in the short term are often the most destructive in the long term, and vice versa. Insight 8.1, the cardinal rule. What is immediately rewarded is repeated. Trigger. The human brain evolved to prioritize immediate rewards over delayed ones. In the ancestral environment, this was adaptive. Eat now because food might not be available tomorrow. In the modern world, this bias is devastating. We choose junk food over health, scrolling over creating, comfort over growth. Every good habit has an immediate cost effort and a delayed reward results. Every bad habit has an immediate reward, pleasure, and a delayed cost, consequences. Realization, the cardinal rule of behavior change. What is immediately rewarded is repeated. What is immediately punished is avoided. The trick is to add a small immediate pleasure to behaviors that pay off in the long run. Example, transfer money to a vacation fund every time you skip an unnecessary purchase. The delayed reward, better finances, now has an immediate reward watching the vacation fund grow. Habit tracking works on this principle. Crossing off each day on a calendar provides an immediate visual reward. Intermediate conclusion, make good habits immediately satisfying even in small ways. The brain needs a signal, now, not later, that the behavior was worth it. Insight 8.2, never miss twice. The recovery principle, trigger, clear. Clear acknowledges that perfection is impossible and that everyone will miss a habit occasionally. The flight is delayed, the child gets sick, the day falls apart. A single miss is not the issue. The issue is what happens next. Realization, never miss twice. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the beginning of a new habit. The first mistake is never the one that ruins you. It is the spiral of repeated mistakes that follows. When you miss one day, the simple rule is, get back on track immediately. Bad days matter more than good days because they define whether you maintain the identity you're building or start eroding it. The all or nothing mentality, I already missed today, so I'll start again Monday, is the real killer. Intermediate conclusion, the problem is not slipping once. The problem is thinking that because you slipped, you have failed. One miss doesn't define you. 2 in a row starts to. The first mistake is never the one that ruins you. It is the spiral of repeated mistakes that follows. PHAs 9. Breaking Bad Habits. Context. Clear inverts the 4 laws to create a systematic framework for dismantling disruptive behaviors, revealing that breaking a bad habit requires the same architectural approach as building a good one, just in reverse. Insight 9.1. The 4 inversions. Trigger. Every bad habit follows the same loop. Cue, craving, response, reward. To break it, you must disrupt the loop at every stage, not just one. Realization, make it invisible. Remove cues from your environment. If you overeat chips, don't keep chips in the house. If you check your phone compulsively, leave it in another room. Make it unattractive. Reframe the associations. Highlight the costs rather than the benefits. Remind yourself that smoking doesn't relieve stress. It creates the craving that causes the stress. Make it difficult. Increase friction. Ask a friend to change your streaming password. Uninstall apps. Remove the credit card from online stores. Make it unsatisfying. Create immediate consequences. An accountability partner who watches your behavior. A habit contract with a financial penalty for failure. Intermediate conclusion. You don't need willpower to break a bad habit. You need architecture. Redesign the environment, reframe the narrative, increase the friction, and attach immediate consequences. Insight 922, the accountability contract, trigger, clear, describes the habit contract. A written agreement in which you commit to a particular habit and agree to a specific punishment if you fail to follow through. The key is that the punishment must be enforced by someone else. Realization. Brian Harris, an entrepreneur, created a habit contract with his wife and personal trainer. If he didn't track his food intake each day, he would owe each of them money. The social cost, the embarrassment of admitting failure to people whose opinions he valued, was more powerful than any internal motivation. Knowing that someone is watching creates an immediate cost for bad behavior, which is exactly what the brain responds to. The strength of the habit contract is not the financial penalty. It is the social visibility. Intermediate conclusion. We care more about what others think of us than what we think of ourselves. Harness this by making your habits visible to people whose respect you value. PHAs 10. Mastery. The Goldilocks zone. And beyond context. Clear concludes with the principles that separate those who build habits from those who achieve mastery. The difference between automation and excellence, between good enough and extraordinary. Insight 10.1. The Goldilocks rule. Stay on the edge. Trigger. A tennis player who faces an opponent far above their level will feel frustrated and quit. One who faces an opponent far below their level will feel bored and disengage. But one who faces an opponent at roughly their level, slightly better, requiring full effort to compete, enters a state of deep focus and engagement. Realization. The Goldilocks rule states that peak motivation occurs when working on tasks that are right at the edge of your current abilities, approximately 4% beyond your current skill level. This is the zone where flow occurs. Too easy and you lose interest. Too hard and you lose confidence. The greatest threat to success is not failure but boredom. As habits become automatic, they become less interesting. And when they become less interesting, you start looking for novelty instead of committing to mastery. Intermediate conclusion. The ability to keep going when the work is not exciting, to fall in love with boredom, is what separates professionals from amateurs. The greatest threat to success is not failure but boredom. Insight 10.2. Habits plus deliberate practice. Mastery trigger. Clear addresses the paradox of habits. They are necessary for progress but dangerous for mastery. Once a habit becomes automatic, you stop paying attention to small errors and performance plateaus. The basketball player who shoots 1,000 free throws with the same flawed form doesn't improve. They reinforce the flaw. Realization. Habits alone create competence, not excellence. Mastery requires habits plus deliberate practice. The combination of automaticity, so you don't waste energy on basics, with conscious reflection, so you catch and correct errors. Clear recommends an annual review, reflecting on what went well and what didn't, and an integrity report, examining whether you are living in alignment with your core values. Without reflection, habits become mindless. With reflection, they become the foundation for continuous improvement. Intermediate conclusion. Never stop reviewing. Behavior forego the peer social 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 create micus for ensis to rate tello slung terminates to all practionis level for ackle habis is exis egresensis of work rate from a self work rate of workums to sell an app or all to sell the selling to sell back one. Arcus this rocker versus the sister back rocker Start with identity, not outcomes. Don't say, I want to run a marathon. Say, I am a runner. Then prove it with small wins. 2. Design your environment. Put the book on the pillow. Leave the guitar in the living room. Hide the phone in a drawer. Motivation is overrated. Environment is everything. 3. Use habit stacking. After current habit, I will new habit. Attach new behaviors to existing routines and let the chain run automatically. 4. Apply the 2-minute rule. Scale every new habit to under 2 minutes. Read 1 page. Do 1 push-up. Write 1 sentence. Master showing up before optimizing. 5. Bundle temptation with obligation. Pair something you need to do with something you want to do. The anticipated reward powers the required effort. 6. Reduce friction for good, increase for bad. Lay out workout clothes. Delete social media apps. Prep meals on Sunday. Make the right choice the easy choice. 7. Track your habits visually. The simple act of marking an X on a calendar provides an immediate reward and builds momentum. 8. Never miss twice. 1 slip is human. 2 slips is a new trajectory. Get back on track immediately. The rule is non-negotiable. 9. Make bad habits invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. Remove the cue, reframe the narrative, increase the friction, add social consequences. 10. Join the right tribe. Surround yourself with people for whom your desired behavior is the default. The group will do the work your willpower cannot. 11. Embrace the valley of disappointment. Results are delayed, not absent. The work is being stored. Keep going past the point where most people quit. 12. Combine habits with deliberate practice. Automation alone plateaus. Periodically review, reflect, and refine. Habits plus deliberate practice, mastery.